Hello students, how are you all? Today we are going to discuss chapter 9, Reproduction and Animals. Let's warm up. Match the column. So students, look at these pictures. You have to match the animals with their babies. Now we have some topics. Let's know about modes of reproduction, sexual reproduction, human reproductive system, fertilization and humans. So students, these are the topics we are going to read in this chapter. Here we have reproduction. The process of which an organism is able to produce more of its own kind is known as reproduction. It is essential for the continued existence of a species. Through this process, new individuals of a species are produced. These individuals grow and reproduce again, thus increasing the population of the species. A species is a group of similar-looking organisms who can interbreed to produce a fertile offspring. Special characters of an organisms are carried from parents to their young ones. So students, अगर हम बात करते हैं रिप्रोडक्शन की, रिप्रोडक्शन क्या होता है? अपने जैसे किसी को जन्म देना, प्रोड्यूस करना. Okay? Now these are two modes of reproduction in animals, asexual and sexual. Modes of reproduction we have. These are two basic types of reproduction in animals, sexual and asexual. Asexual mode of reproduction takes place when a single parent give rise to a new individual of its kind, whereas sexual mode is carried out when two parents, one male and one female, are involved in reproduction. So student, asexual में single parent birth जन्म देते हैं और sexual reproduction में both male and female. Now we have asexual mode of reproduction. Lower animals such as amoeba, starfish, hydra and other organisms reproduce asexually in various ways. Some of them are discussed below. So students, ये कुछ एनिमल हैं जो asexually reproduce करते हैं. Here we have binary fission. Some unicellular animals like amoeba and paramecium reproduce asexually by binary fission. The process involves division of parent cell into two similar daughter cells. The process begins by the elongation of the nucleus as well as the cell. The nucleus keeps elongating and finally gets pinched off in the center to produce two daughter nuclei. When this has happened, the cell further elongates and eventually gets pinched off in the center to ultimately form two daughter cells. So student, binary fission में क्या होता है? सेल जो है elongate, that means उसका साइज इंक्रीज हो जाता है और कुछ टाइम के बाद वो मिड से पिंच हो जाती है और टू डॉटर न्यूक्लियाई, that means two daughter cells को वो क्या देती है? बर्थ देती है. That's how binary fission works. Look at this picture, budding in hydra, binary fission in amoeba. Do you know, in human beings and all other viviparous animals, metamorphosis does not occur because the young ones resemble the adult of the time of birth. Here, budding. Hydra reproduces asexually by producing buds. This is called budding. A bud is a small protuberance or a bulge that appears on the body of the animal by repeated division of cells. Gradually, this bud differentiates into different types of cells and begins to look like the adult or the parent hydra. When the young animal is fully formed, it detaches itself from the parent and being its life as an independent animal. The newly developed hydra is an exact replica of the parent animal as it involves only one parent. So student, hydra कैसे बनते हैं? Budding. Budding क्या होता है? जो है budding start होती है hydra animals में, फिर धीरे धीरे वो जो bud है वो एक proper animal में change हो जाती है और जब वो एक proper development हो जाता है तो वो अपने parent animal से reattach हो जाते हैं. Now we have cloning. Hydra reproduces asexually by producing birds. This is called budding. A clone is created by inserting the complete genetic material of a regular body cell from a donor into a recipient. Dolly was the first cloned mammal which was genetically identical to its parent seed. Cloning may lead to several abnormalities which could impact mental development of the clone. Advocates of human therapeutic cloning believe that cloning could help in producing organs for transplantation and in regenerative medicine. So students, cloning को डॉक्टर्स ऐसा मानते हैं कि वो organs को transplantation करने में और regenerate करने में medicines को help कर सकता है. Now we have sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, two parents, a male and a female, are needed to produce a new individual. Both the male and female have different reproductive parts. Each parent produces a special sex cells known as gamete. The male produces the sperm and the female produces egg or ovum. So student, sexual reproduction में दोनों पेरेंट्स चाहिए होते हैं, मेल एंड फीमेल, और दोनों पेरेंट्स के अलग अलग सेक्स ऑर्गन होते हैं. नाउ वी हैव unisexual and bisexual animals. Majority of animals have separate male and female individuals. The male produces sperm and female produces egg or ovum. Such organisms are called unisexual. However, some organisms such as earthworm and leech and female sex organs in the same organism. Such organisms are called hermaphrodite or bisexual organisms. So student get it? Now we have fertilization. The process of fusion of a sperm nucleus and ovum nucleus is called fertilization, or the union of male and female gametes is called fertilization. So student, male और female gamete के fusion को हम fertilization कहते हैं. When a sperm and an ovum fuse together, they form the zygote. This is the first cell of the new organism. Now look at the picture. We have process of fertilization, zygote. External and internal fertilization. Fertilization takes place in two different ways. Here, external fertilization and internal fertilization. When the fusion of male and female gametes take place outside the body of the female, it is called external fertilization. This type of fertilization takes place in water, example frog, and aquatic animals such as fish and starfish. So student, अगर हम external fertilization की बात करें तो most of the aquatic animals में होता है. When the fusion of male and female gametes take place inside the female body, the fertilization is called internal fertilization. Internal fertilization occurs in many animals, including reptiles, insects, birds, cats, cattle, and man. So, student, internal fertilization most of the animals में होता है. Now we have development of embryo. Fertilization results the formation of zygote, which begins to develop into an embryo. The zygote divides repeatedly to give rise to a ball of cell. The cell then begin to form groups that develop into different tissues and organs of the body. This developing structure is termed an embryo. The embryo gets embedded in the wall of the uterus for further development. The embryo continues to develop in the uterus. It gradually develops body parts such as hands, legs, heads, eyes, ears, etc. The stage of the embryo in which all the body parts can be identified is called a fetus. When the development of fetus is complete, the mother gives the birth to the baby. So student, embryo initial stage होती है, then जब सब body parts जो है develop हो जाते हैं, that is fetus, and जब वो complete हो जाता है, then वो एक माँ जो है अपने बच्चे को जन्म देती है. Now students, we have taken mate. You can do it by yourself. Now, internal fertilization take place in hens also, but do hens give birth to babies like human beings and cows? You know that they do not then. So students, hens जो है वो humans की तरह अपने बच्चे को जन्म नहीं देती है, लेकिन वो भी क्या करती है? Fertilization. How's our chicks born? Let us find out. Soon after fertilization, the zygote divide repeatedly, layers are formed around it. The hard shell is one of the protective layers. After the hard shell is formed around the developing embryo, and hen finally lays the eggs. The embryo takes about 3 weeks to develop into a chick. You must have seen the hen sitting on the eggs to provide sufficient warmth. Did you know the development of chick take place inside the egg and cell during this period? So students, जो chick है वो egg के अंदर ही जो है वो बनता है. Now in animals which undergo external fertilization, development of the embryo takes place outside the female body. The embryos continue to grow within their egg covering after the embryo develops the egg hatch. Now we have human reproductive system. Before describing the process of reproduction in humans, we should know about the male and female reproductive system. So students, now we are going to read about the male and female reproductive systems. Here we have male reproductive system. The male reproductive system consists of the following organs. Testes. These are 2 in numbers and oval shaped. They lie within the scrotum outside the abdominal cavity. Due to the process of gametogenesis, testes produce gametes called sperms. Look at this picture, male reproductive system. Then we have sperm ducts. A pair of sperm ducts carries sperms to the urethra during discharge of gametes. Penis. It is a muscular and erectile tissue used in sexual intercourse. It delivers the sperms into the vagina of female. The reproductive system of female consisting of the following parts. Ovaries. A pair of ovaries is situated in abdominal cavity. In human beings, only 1 egg is released every month by either of the 2 ovaries. Then oviduct or fallopian duct. These are the thin and cold muscular tubes which join the ureter and the ovaries. Then uterus. It is broad muscular chamber where the fertilized ovum develops into a baby. Then vagina. The uterus opens into a wide muscular tube called vagina which receives sperm. Look at this picture, students, we have. This is female reproductive system. Now, fertilization in humans. In human beings, the fertilization or union of sperms and ovums occur in the interior part of oviduct. This is the first step in the process of reproduction. So, students, fertilization humans में कहाँ होता है? Inside, internal. Here, development of human embryo. After fertilization, the zygote develops into an embryo while descending down through the oviduct. The zygote divides repeatedly and gives a rise to a ball of cells. These cells multiply and differentiate to develop into tissues, organs, and organ system of the body. This developing structure is known as embryo. So, students, जो developing structure होती है उसको हम embryo बोलते हैं. On reaching the uterus, the embryo attached to the wall of the uterus by placenta. This is called implantation. The embryo obtains nutrients and oxygen from mother's blood through the placenta, continues to grow and develop all its body parts. At 2 months age, the embryo starts resembling the human form and is called fetus. The development of growth of fetus is completed by the end of 280 days and the mother gives birth to a baby. Now, in vitro fertilization. It is a technique in which ovum collected from the female's body is allowed to fuse with the sperms collected from the male's body in an external medium or outside the body of the female. The zygote so developed is allowed to grow in a vitro for about a week and then implanted in the female's uterus where it further developed as a normal embryo. This technique is employed to set pregnancy in a female who has problems related to the oviduct that does not allow fertilization to happen normally. A baby born to this technique is called test tube baby. Look at this picture, fetus in the uterus. Look at these pictures. A, zygote formation and development of an embryo from the zygote. Walls of the cell and last, this is B, and C, embedding of the embryo in the uterus. And last. Now we have viviparous and oviparous animals. Animals which give birth to young ones or babies are called viviparous animals. Cats, dogs, horses, lions, monkeys, and men are viviparous animals. The animals which lay eggs are called oviparous animals. Insects, fishes, frogs, birds, and reptiles are oviparous. In some oviparous animals such as fishes and frogs, the eggs are fertilized outside the body. But in reptiles and birds, the eggs are fertilized inside the body of the female. Here is internal fertilization. So students, जो हमारे कुछ animals हैं जो eggs देते हैं that is oviparous और जो young ones को birth देते हैं that is viviparous. Here we have life cycle of a frog. In frogs, the development of the embryo takes place outside the female body. The embryo continues to grow within the egg. After the embryo develops, egg hatch into larva called tadpole. The tadpoles are seen swimming in ponds. They are much different from adults. A tadpole undergoes several changes in form and structure and changes into an adult frog. There are 3 distinct stages in the life cycle of a frog. These are below. Look at this picture, life cycle of a frog. Now we have check and mate. You can do it by yourself as we already read about these things. Now, metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is the process of transformation of larva into an adult through drastic changes in human beings and all other viviparous animals. Metamorphosis does not occur because the young one resembles the adult at the time of birth. Here, look at the picture. It is a life cycle of a butterfly. Now, students, what we learn in this chapter, we are going to discuss it in a nutshell. Reproduction is a vital and physiological process in the life cycle of an organism. Generally, there are 2 methods by which animals reproduce, asexual and sexual methods of reproduction. Reproduction resulting from the fusion of male and female gametes is called sexual reproduction. The reproductive organs in the female include ovules, oviducts, and uterus. The reproductive organs in the male include testes, sperm ducts, and penis. The ovary produces female gametes called ova and testes produce the male gametes called sperms. The fusion of ovum and sperm is called fertilization and fertilized egg is called zygote. Fertilization that takes place inside the female body is called internal fertilization. Fertilization that takes place outside the female body is called external fertilization. Here we have some keywords. Reproduction, a process by which organisms produce young ones of their kind. Fertilization, the process of combining the male gamete or sperm with the female gamete or ovum. Viviparous, producing living young instead of eggs. Zygote, the cell that forms by the union of an egg cell and a sperm cell. Binary fission, a kind of asexual reproduction which occurs in some single-celled eukaryotes. Thank you, students. We will meet again in the next chapter. Till then, revise what we learned today.